bitches.
Hi, hello. Welcome back. I forgot to grab my mic to bring it closer to me. Welcome to another episode of The Gloom Between Stars by Piper CJ. It's getting hot in here.
Yeah, things are starting to get going. Yeah. So Ash wakes up in the middle of the night at the beginning of chapter 30 and just feels like something is wrong or feels like something happened to wake him up. And he starts to get up and walk around and he's feeling guilty, I guess, because when Malik went to Umbrive, they decided that Samael decided, so surprise, Samael is alive. I know in the last episode I was like, is he dead? He's not.
What's happening?
But they decided that they were going to, Grem was going to bring Alil back to the keep, and Alil was just going to focus on the scholarly aspects of studying Soulgrave instead of actually being on the mission. And Ash is feeling kind of guilty about that. Or he's not feeling guilty about that. He's feeling bad and thinking about that. That's probably why he can't sleep. So he's like, I'm going to go get some tea. And but as he's walking down the hallway to get to the kitchen or wherever to get tea, he's listening at doors to see what woke me up. And that's why he feels guilty, because he is feels like he's invading their privacy. But something weird is happening at Tanith's door. And immediately on page 348, the lantern he's holding his lantern and it's unable to go through the cracks under her door. His lantern light is being stopped at the door. And I was like, oh fuck, it's his dad.
His dad came back for revenge.
Yes. So he's there. Gadriel busts the door open. Gadriel shows up because Ash is trying to bust the door open and wakes him up. And Gadriel busts the door open and they run in to save her, basically.
Yeah, and they can't see anything.
So they're fighting.
They can feel how cold it is. Yeah, they can feel how cold it is, so Ash assumes that he came from the window.
Yep, and he does find the window and finds out he's right. There's a grappling hook hanging from the window. And
from the
grappling hook
to the wall.
The grappling hook is engraved with dampening spells. So he threw it through the window, and Tanith probably didn't even hear anything because she didn't probably wake up until the cold hit her.
Yeah.
And by then it was probably too late. And even if it wasn't, she has the dampening cuffs, so she couldn't have probably defended herself anyway.
It's funny because Gadriel's coming through, hell bent on helping, and he's just running into everything.
Yeah, he's just running into shit, hitting shit, and Ash gets Tanith out. He gets Tanith to Yaslin, who gets her out. But where am I getting ahead of myself? Hold on. On page 352. There's his dad is about to
kill him.
Yeah, he's about to kill him, and Ash is obviously hurt and upset and pissed, and he screams, and white light comes out of his mouth, his fingers, and his eyes, and he seems to explode into sunlight.
I was like, yeah.
Yeah, so Ash has just discovered a new ability. that seems to be the opposite of his dad's. And also...
Good.
Well, yeah. But also, with that, the next book is called The Dawn and Its Light.
Maybe it's about Tanith. Well, okay,
and
not
Ash,
about
right?
Tanith, but
or about Ash. Like, it sounds like maybe Ash is pretty centric to that story, maybe. Because at first I was thinking it was about Amaris, because the night and its moon was about Nox, and the moon was obviously Amaris. I don't remember what the second book was called.
The Sun and Its Shade.
The Sun and Its Shade. Which was... I don't know. I don't know what that name is about. Maybe Gadriel?
Maybe it was about finding... Maybe it was like Princess Daphne and...
Oh, okay.
King Cyrus.
Yeah, maybe that's it. This
Fuck,
one...
wait, hold on. The apple has like a bright light around it.
Yeah.
So maybe it's talking about the tree, the Yggdrasil tree.
Yeah. This one is clearly about Nox and her... In my mind, it's about Nox and her different lovers are her stars. Like Yasla and Malik. Amaris are the stars. And the gloom in between having that lover. So the dawn and its light, to me, feels like maybe it's going to have something to do with Ash. We do also see on the cover of this book, there are mountains with the sun rising over them. So isn't Solgrave over the mountains? Just saying. I'm getting Ash and Tanith vibes from the title and the cover of this book. I have not read the back yet because I don't want to spoil anything for this book. I mean, I guess I could read it now, but...
I was going to say, you could probably read it now that you've read it all, but...
Yeah. But yeah. So... Ash has this new power, and then he's worrying about Tanith. And on page 356... Did you have anything before that?
Nope.
On page 356, Tanith is sleeping in Ash's room because her room obviously has just been, the windows broken and all this crazy stuff just happened in it. And she climbs back under the covers in Ash's bed and kind of like flips the other corner of the blanket down as like an invitation. She's like, come lay with me. And he kind of freezes, and she's like, I'm sorry. And not meaning about what's happened tonight, but meaning about all of the things she's done and said. And this is where we find out about Ash's feelings for Tanith.
Yeah, because the end of the chapter, it goes, so he goes, I'll just read it. It had only taken him 3 steps to cross the room. He didn't drop her eyes as he slid into the bed beside her. A small smile twitched to the corners of her lips as she relaxed into his acceptance. Her shoulders released a tension that he hadn't realized she'd held while she'd waited for his response. Tanith lowered herself to her pillow and turned away, facing the window. Ash draped his arm over her, holding her in the crooks and grooves of his body, and knew his heart would belong only to her.
Aww.
Ash is finally getting a happy ending.
Oh my gosh. I have also really been shipping this and Enemies to Lovers since the decision was made that he was going to be her like guardian or whatever. I was like, oh
yes,
here
we go.
I love it. And that's the end of chapter 30. Then we go into chapter 31, which also feels kind of fluffy. Because
it does feel fluffy, but I also think it's like important to see a different side of Tanith on top of a different side of everybody, because everybody's so like serious, like the war is coming. It's
and
like a
they're
nice
just
little
gonna do
break.
something fun. Again, Nox is up early. The sun woke her up, and the smell of cinnamon rolls helped her get up. And she walks into the dining room, and Gadriel says, "What's wrong?" and drops his fork. She says, "So help me, if one more person asks me what's wrong just because I'm awake before high noon, I will have you all in the stocks." And then she's like, "Wait, there's no stocks in Gwydir? What's the equivalent? Tried and quartered in the square?" Like, and then Gadriel's like, "God, how much more medieval is Fairhold than Rascot?" And it was like a funny banter.
This is why you're such a barbarian to Amaris. It's like, damn.
And so she's like, "Okay, so what do you do? What do you people do for fun around here?" And Yaslin, there's like this silent conversation happening between all of the Rascot Fae. And Yaslin's like, "Ask the Satyrs." And Gadriel's like, "How are you with the bow?" They're playing paintball.
Yeah,
but
they
with
are.
bows and arrows. Paintball, but with bows and arrows.
I squealed so loud. I was like, "Ah, that's so clever."
Right?
And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "They're playing paintball."
But with bows and arrows. Like,
yeah. Honestly, that sounds like so much fun. Like, whether you're good at a bow or arrow or anything, like, paintball is like, it hurts. But if you were to, because those are easy to make.
Yeah.
You could honestly probably get like the suction cup ones anyways, and then just like
tie, like a little sachet of powder.
Something that makes it easy to like break open with force. Yeah, that'd be so good.
Yeah, and Nox is whining because they gave her a child's bow because she's not she's not trained in archery. And this child's bow is enchanted to assist with aim. And she's like complaining. And I'm like, "Girl, quit complaining and go win this game. What are you doing?"
Like, you got an advantage. Just be like, "I'm the queen. I get an advantage." Like, own it.
Right. And then they keep going. And they're playing. Nox eliminates Ash.
Which is so funny to see his face when when he turns to see where it came from, and he's like,
yeah, right. And then who wins again? Zaccai?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Zaccai had been the winner, but after he hit Tanith, the last one standing, she'd shot a defeated, retaliating arrow in his direction. Her red, giggling explosion of poor sportsmanship had resulted in a flurry of arrows, colors, and bursts of powder. So, like, basically, after Zaccai wins and Tanith is like, "I'm petty," and shoots him back, they all start shooting each other. And I'm just like, this is hilarious and so much fun.
Do you think the colors stand for anything?
I don't know, because they gave Nox lavender, I think.
Mm-mm.
No. I thought it was purple.
That was
Or was that Amaris?
So lavender was given to Amaris, green to Malik, royal purple to Yaslin, red to Tanith, yellow to Ash, sky blue to Zaccai, pink to Gadriel, and orange to Nox.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, obviously, I think they gave Tanith red because of her.
I just feel like they used colors that were of the bright blood.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they did. And then
I think I'm also thinking too much into it, but
possibly, but maybe not. And then they go to the bar. Basically, they go to a tavern.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they go shower and everything, and then they go to a tavern.
I think it'd be funny if they just went like that.
Right? I feel like it would have been fun, but they don't. And then they start talking about, like, childhood memories, funny stories. Amaris looks at Zaccai. What about you? Any tales of false identities or wild lovers? And
I was like,
right, having read the other, I was like, oh, but he does not tell any of them. But then Yaslin is like, did I ever tell you about my threesome with, and Gadriel and Zaccai are like, a duchess and a bladesmith? And she's like, well, it was a great story. And Tanith goes, your first threesome does stick with you. And everybody's like, what?
Me?
And she's like, what? And they're like, we assumed you were a prude. And she calls her Tantan. This even more was like solidifying my vision of Amryn in my head. Because Yaslin's like, we assumed you were a prude, Tantan. And Tanith's like, why would you assume that? And I don't care for that nickname. Please don't repeat that.
And it's really funny too, because she starts talking about what is it? She gets so mad at everybody. Not mad, but she's like, why would you assume that? You're just so pious. Are you three not also swords arms of the All-Mother? Celibacy isn't expected of any sword arms of the All... Oh, wait. Celibacy isn't expected of any of you, is it? I don't see what battle readiness and magical servitude have to do with sexuality. I do like, though, that there's different branches that we see.
Yeah.
So the Temple of the All-Mother, I wouldn't necessarily say that those are magical servitude. I think those are more like celibacy based religion, you know?
Uh-huh.
And then we have the magical servitude, which I don't know what the fuck that would be. But then she's like, we're not bishops or priestesses wed to the All-Mother. You all know so little of the church, such poor primitive savages of the southern kingdoms. And she's like smiling as she says that last part. I was like, okay. The fact that she's saying this and joking about all of it, yeah, she's definitely one of them. And then Nox was like, yeah, okay, fair enough. And then all of a sudden she chokes on what she's drinking and goes, wait. Did you just say your first threesome? And then everyone's like, I'm quite certain I'm not drunk enough for this conversation. And everyone's like, oh, no.
We can change that.
Yeah, let's do it. And they never did find out, so that kind of sucks. But, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll find out more.
They kind of start to consider her part of the group and like a friend instead of a prisoner. And that's the end of chapter 31. Chapter 32.
I was so hungry.
I
probably look like a savage.
By the time that we are done recording, I'm going to be very hungry. I did eat this morning, but I'm going to be hungry again.
Will made these breakfast burritos, and god damn it, they're so good.
So, chapter 32, they're talking about who's going south. They're ready. The shields are ready to be tested anyway. Like, so they're talking about who goes south. They bring in the shields, and Zaccai brings them in and passes them to Yaslin and Gadriel, and they're kind of
fucking
looking at
Yaslin.
Yes, fucking Yaslin. So they've been describing them as collars, right? So Yaslin's like, oh, and holds it up to her neck, and it immediately like seals itself around her neck. Well, fuck, I guess Yaslin's going.
And it's so funny because Yaslin's like fighting to get it off. It's kind of like the Chinese finger trap.
Yeah.
where it's a simple okay, there's no simple removal of these like collars, but like the way she's acting is as if she's like freaking out and like trying to rip it off when there's like a much simpler like way of getting out of it, but
yeah,
it's stupid funny.
This is hilarious. I'm just cracking up. So basically, she has to go.
She's got no choice.
Yeah. And
obviously Amaris is going, and Gadriel is like, I volunteer as tribute.
Yeah, like, okay. And then
you got to be there to release her sexual attention so that she can release her shockwave.
Oh my god. Well, and so then there's only one logical choice left. Like, Amaris is obviously going because she is the
chosen
demigod or whatever she is. And then Yaslin now has to go because she's an idiot. And Gadriel is gonna go because Mars is going. And then they're trying to decide who that fourth person is going to be, but it's not really even a discussion. There's an obvious choice because there's only 2 shields. So the 2 shields are for Yaslin and Gadriel. Amaris is most likely not affected by the curse because she's part of the tree or whatever. And then Malik is human, so he's the only other one that's likely to be unaffected by the curse. And Nox is pissed.
Yeah.
She is not happy.
Because she's mad. She's like, why can't Ash go? And it's like, okay, well, Ash has literally not left Tanith's side.
Right. So Ash can't go. And also Ash is Fae. So there's or half Fae. So there's a very good chance that he will be affected by the curse if he crosses back over to the...
Yeah.
Or crosses over the border to the south. So... that's not an option. And she is fucking raging. And I feel like... Wait, where am I at?
I have no idea.
Oh, so 375, the bottom half of the page, Nox goes to the training arena, and is practicing with Chandra. She's just like pissed. She's mad at her mom, Daphne, for abandoning her. She's mad at her father for failing to find her. She's mad at the Grey Matron for misleading her. She's just mad at the world. She's mad at the madam, which I had to text you because I was like, what is her fucking name?
Millicent.
So she's mad at Millicent who bought her, and she's mad. She's just mad at the world. And I felt that in my soul, but also like use that because that's typically what I do. Like if I'm in that kind of a mood, I will use that to fuel like my motivation or my productivity. Excuse me. And I'm like, use that rage because sometimes that's the only thing holding you together. Like if you don't have that rage, you're gonna fall apart.
Yeah.
And then she's getting pissed at Chandra because she keeps missing. She's like all the way across the training ring from the target now and keeps missing. And Malik comes and grounds her and shows her how to do it and to trust and to not overthink it.
You'll be fine.
Yep. And then they go back to her room and
because they're making out.
Have sex, but not.
It's like
they kind of like.
I don't even know how to describe it.
Masturbate together, like
but like near each other. Like she's on top.
like she's straddling him. It's kind of a weird situation, but
I had to read it twice because I was like,
yeah.
did I imagine it like that?
Right, like what just happened? So
And I was like, yeah, I did.
they never actually have sex, but they both are like, yeah. Anyway, basically he comes and she's like super proud of herself because she found
intact.
a way around it. Yeah, his soul is still intact and they were still able to do this. And then he's exhausted, which is also kind of making her be like, yeah, that's right. That's right. I knocked you out.
And it's so funny though, because it's like he did all the work.
Right, right. But he's like, let me take care of you. And she's like, nope. And they're all like sad. But I was just basically like, I hope you know what you're doing, Nox, because I was scared. I was like, oh, fuck. Because I've been waiting. The last couple chapters have been kind of fluffy. And I was, other than the chapter with Allele coming to the castle, and I was like, oh god, something terrible is about to happen. And
yeah,
I was worried that it was going to be that. But thankfully, it was not.
I honestly thought, like, what if she just gets lost in the moment and then just plants herself? I was like,
right.
I was like, holy shit. She's gonna drop down on that dick and he's gonna be gone forever.
Or in her drawl at the very least, right? Like, yikes.
Yeah.
I have a feeling, though, I have a theory, I guess, not a feeling, that maybe because she saved his life using her power, it won't affect him. Like, since she, like, put the life spark back into him, or that maybe because of that situation, she's going to learn that she can not take during it. I don't know. I have a feeling eventually they're going to actually be able to have sex.
Do the deed.
Yeah.
Maybe. There's a quote though. So he's getting ready to leave. He's getting dressed, he's walking out, he's getting ready to depart. Not that night, but making sure everything's good to go. And she's sad. She knows this is gonna end. And as he gets up to leave and get dressed and finish packing, he comes back around and goes, Nox, don't go anywhere. And she's confused. She doesn't understand what he means by that. She goes, go anywhere? Like, where would I go? And then he stops and goes, you disappear sometimes, into yourself, that is. You're here, but you aren't. When things get hard or bad, you found so many ways to be strong. You found so many ways to survive. You're stronger than all of us. There isn't a person here who doesn't admire you. And it's like, she gets into those depression holes, and then
she disassociates.
Yeah. And Malik is like, don't do it. Yeah. Like, there's somebody here who does this or does that. Like, you're better. Not better, but like, you don't need to do that. And it's like, he's such a sunshine character. I feel like he's gonna die.
I know.
Like Liam from Fourth Wing.
As well. Right? Yes. Agreed. And then he says, Nox, I am so devoted to you. Shut up. Like, what?
You are? Thanks.
And then they leave.
Yeah.
And we're into chapter 33. So this whole situation makes me very nervous. Well, I guess they leave in chapter 33. The beginning of chapter 33, right?
Yeah, because they all like have one last dinner together.
Yeah, and Nox and Amaris like fucking make up, and it's gross. And I was just like,
yeah,
ugh.
She goes and says goodbye. Not goodbye, but like a parting word.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Yeah, it's just, and they're basically like, Nox is trying to tell her she loves her, basically, and she's like, don't tell me now, tell me when I get back. And she's like, I'll tell you then. And Mara says, and I'll be ready to listen.
Good, because you never listened before.
Right. And then Nox is writing to Agnes to see, because they're going to go to Farleigh to see if the shields work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I feel like, can we trust her? Like, I feel like I don't trust her.
I don't know. Like, I feel like we can. But also, I think she's going to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah. It makes me nervous, but we'll see. And then I was just like, yeah, I feel a heartbreak coming on. Because she's like, they're talking and Nox is obviously sad. And Tanith's like, at least they're going somewhere warmer. And they're all kind of like, did she just say something positive? What's happening? And then Zaccai says they'll be back. And Nox is crying with her head on Zaccai's shoulder. And it says all they could do now was wait. And I was like, oh, yep, something heartbreaking is going to happen. I just feel it coming on. And that's the end of that chapter and the end of part 4 of the book. And the big part 5 is called The Fall of Everything and begins with chapter 34. Amaris's little like inner monologue here where she's talking about how she feels and she's nauseous and she's anxious and all these things about going back to Farleigh.
Girl, I understand.
Yes, like that's how I feel driving down 26 on my way back to Swayze. Like, ugh. I hate it.
No.
That's how I feel going home.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like that's probably a common feeling for someone who has come out in a more conservative, unaccepting family, and not even just family, but in a community that's not accepting of who you are as a human.
Yeah. So we watched a movie the other night, and Immaculate, and it's basically about a girl who grows up in I would assume a Catholic church. They didn't explicitly say, but like they're talking about nuns and all of that, and it's in Italy, so yeah, it's like basically Catholic based. And basically she gets to this church because her church where she was, or her parish where she was, got shut down. Things are not as they seem. This doesn't seem like a typical convent. And it's just a little weird, you know? But it's like every single time a new scene popped up, or like they're over, like they're at church, or like something happened, and I would sit there and I'd be like on the edge of my seat. Nothing scary happened, nothing whatever. There's no reason for me to be on the edge of my seat, but I was. And I kept telling Will, I was like, why am I so anxious? And like I was like I felt like I was shrinking into him because of how like anxious I felt. And he goes, trauma maybe? I was like, yeah, religious trauma. That's probably it.
Mm-hmm. It's a thing.
Yeah.
It is a thing.
Made me, and I don't think it helped either that like my dad had not just left, but like left a little bit ago. And I still was like trying to get through the emotions of like him visiting and like the anxiety of it all.
Yep.
So I sound like I hate my dad. I really don't. I just...
No, but when, like, even if you've repaired your relationship or are working on repairing your relationship, the fact that there was negative. There's history, and that history is still there, and you still have like your body has reactions to that, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah, and it definitely sad to say, but like my mom passing helped my dad and I get closer, but not closer.
Yeah.
But she was the buffer between us. Like, I'd say something to her, she'd respond back, like, she'd tell him.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I wouldn't explicitly reach out to him.
Yeah, I get that.
So, she was definitely the buffer that I had, and now I ain't got that no more, so. But we finally make it to Farleigh.
Yeah, and so Amaris is like, Yaz and Gadriel, you need to stay in the tree line until we can have somebody come out, because I don't want to scare the kids if the shields aren't working.
Yeah.
And they go in, and they're waiting for Agnes to come down. Mabel opens the door, first of all. Sweet Mabel. And one of the girls is like, Amaris recognizes them. And she's like, you are Emily's sister, right? Anna? And she comes down, and they give each other a hug. And she's like, do you know what happened to my sister? And Amaris is like, I'm so sorry. I heard that Nox was living with her in Priory, but now, or Priory?
Priori.
Now Nox and I live in Gwydir. And I was just like, stab in the heart. Like, you poor thing. And they don't even know, because Nox doesn't even know yet.
Yeah, and the thing is, yet.
Fuck.
Yet? So Millicent returns. Man, that what? Like real quick like change that I caught.
Huh?
That was great. Anyways, and it's sad too, because it's like, how many years has all of this happened, and Emily hasn't like mailed her any letter, nothing. Yeah.
It's sad.
Man, I wonder if Nox will ever find out.
I don't know.
I wonder if we'll have a Millicent reunion.
Anyway, so then here comes Agnes. And
hold on real quick. I do like how she's like sowing not distrust about the Reavers there.
Yes.
To all the kids, like, hey, if you want to like surviving chance at anything, like, go here, because they are dwindling. And
yeah, and it might be a better place for some of these kids than wherever
the Reavers
Agnes
being the
is
new orphanage
sell them to.
Yeah.
And then here comes Agnes being
a grumpy old bitch.
Yeah, just a fucking bitch. Like, she's like,
you're back after all these years, after I housed you, fed you, clothed you.
Yeah. Let's fulfill this request and be done with it. Are you out of your goddamn mind, or goddess damn mind, using the front door? Like, excuse me, bitch. And then on the next page,
how else was I supposed to enter your fucking orphanage?
Right, like,
the back door?
You. I'm not coming in the servants' quarters. Like, then page 402 and 403, she is being a raging racist cuntosaurus. Like, she is like, how could you bring them here? Because Yaslin and Gadriel are coming out to the back door. No. They're walking to them in the forest. And she's like, how could you bring them here? What? And Mars is like, what do you see? And she's like, how could you bring demons to the place of the All-Mother? And Malik and Mars are like, fuck, you see again me? And I'm just like, no. What? No, I see you brought demonic rascot rabble to our home for children. How could you bring the Dark Kingdom to our doorstep, Amaris? You fucking... She's like, can you please describe them? Could you do that for us? And she's describing it to the two people, and Amaris is like, so just to be clear, you don't see a Gimni, you're just racist? And I was like, oh my god.
You're right, though.
So, side quest. Odin just got back from going on a walk, apparently, because he was just dropped into my office with a treat. And they're not the type of treat that we buy, but we have this one neighbor who has huskies and, well, husky mixes, and Odin loves him. And every time that we're walking and he sees us, he gives Odin a treat. And so now Odin is on his bed chomping. So that was just side quest there. Anyway.
What a spoiled brat.
He is a spoiled brat from everyone. Everyone spoils him. My mom bought him an advent calendar of toys. Like, he's so spoiled. But anyway, racist Conchosaurus. But wait. Oh, then we see we go back inside, right? Yeah. Yeah. Because they're like,
oh, because Amaris
Mabel
lets Agnes have it.
Yeah, she's like,
Amaris goes, not consort with, she's their queen.
Yeah,
Agnes' eyes distinctly trout-like as her eyes bulge. Oh yes, the little princess you hid in your orphanage, she wasn't just Daphne's daughter, she was King Ceres's as well. The girl you had fetch your errands and run your chores is now sitting on the throne in Gwydir, and me, the baby you bought for 50 crowns and tried to sell to a whorehouse. As it stands, I'm the deadliest weapon on the continent. We know who you are and what this place is, Agnes. Regarding how you treat these children, I would think long and hard about Farleigh's next steps if I were you. If Nox holds the titles in both Rascot and Fairhold, you could either have a powerful friend or an enemy beyond your worst nightmares. And then it's like, as soon as that happened, she like explains who they are, and Amaris goes, was that so hard?
Yeah, and that whole like speech was kind of healing for Amaris's inner child. She's like, Amaris wished that her childhood version of herself could have watched the exchange. So that was kind of healing for her to be able to be like, fuck you.
And then Mabel's like, do you want some food for the road?
It's too good for this world.
Have you seen that 70s show?
Yeah.
So Grey Matron Agnes is fuck, what's his name? Buddy? No, not Buddy. For the dad.
Yep.
And fucking Mabel's the mom.
Kitty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the dad's
I can't
name?
remember the dad's name either.
I keep on calling him Fred, but it's not Fred.
I think it's just Red. Yeah. Red and Kitty.
That's it. I was like, I want to call him Fred, but that's not it.
You're close.
Fred. Anyways, yeah, so we got a Fred and Kitty moment, and they go in and, warm up and get some food.
Yeah. And then right before they leave, the very end of the chapter, well, kind of very end of the chapter, Agnes gives Amaris the other spelled quill so she could write back and forth with Nox.
Agnes is like, all right, I'm done with this. Get the fuck out of here. Take this with you.
Yeah. And at first I was like, okay, did Nox tell her to give her that? Is she just trying to be kind? I think now that we've discussed it out loud, I'm thinking maybe she was like, oh, fuck, you're right. I want to be friends here. Let me help you. But at first I was like, this feels like some kind of trick or trap. Like, I was like,
yeah.
I don't know if I like this.
And what I don't understand still is, like, I understand how Millicent had the one black quill.
Right.
What I don't understand is how Agnes got the other quill. And now my theory, or, snowball here, that I just started thinking about is, what if Millicent is related to the queen? because the queen might have magical properties. Millicent obviously has some weird fucking magical property kind of thing, and that might be why she's fighting so hard to get back into good graces with some people and get power. And then what if that black quill was something that Daphne had or something like that, and Daphne like left it with Nox's shit.
I guess I just assumed that Millicent gave the quill to Agnes because that's how they communicated about her purchasing children.
Possibly. Yeah.
But
we don't know that part either. Yeah, we don't know. Yeah.
But
like,
then
I know
basically
they had like a shitty background before doing whatever she did, but it doesn't make any sense still.
No. And then basically the end of the chapter is Amaris writes Nox a note, Nox writes back, and they continue on their flight to the Duke. And that's the end. Chapter 34.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 35, the very beginning, there is a little, the first chapter, or the first paragraph, I highlighted a quote because I was cracking up. And she's like, so is this it? We just sit around and wait every day? Nox slouched into her chair. She had unraveled 3 cinnamon rolls, eating only the gooey centers and abandoning the exteriors. Ash made a comment about her wastefulness, and she told them that when he was queen, he could eat rolls however he wanted. And I'm just like, yes. And I feel like part of the problem, and I feel like we might start to see Nox get a little more grumpy over the next little bit, is because her 3 sources just left to go to Fairhold. Like, and yes, they have the rings, but do they work?
We'll find out if the rings work, though.
Yeah. So that's the first thing
I do. What is it? I felt like this chapter was a little fluffy, but also there's going to be some fluffy chapters because of what's happening south. I do like, though, that we're getting more out of Tanith and we're understanding a little bit more. So, like, we asked her, or like they asked her, like, why do you always wear red everything, this or that? And we do find out a little bit more about her religion, like who is who in there. Red means one thing, black means another. Black is like for priestesses.
Okay, but pause before you go further with that part. Because the way we start talking about that is Ash is like, I've never asked you this, but what makes you love the color red so much? Most of us have a favorite color, but you take yours quite seriously. And Tanith is like, my favorite color is blue-green. Like the color of the shallow sea and crystal clear waters. And that's why they start talking about it. Yeah.
Is it? So, let's see. So, so they dress for their stations.
Yep.
And it helps them identify each other when they're in different territories, different villages, all of that. So anyone who is bound to the All-Mother and would shelter and feed me, they are simply referred to as the Greys. And Nox is like, the Grey Matron. Like the Grey Matron. Mm-hmm. And Tanith is a little confused by that. Like, what are they? And I'm sitting here like, what if she's from Soulgrave?
Maybe.
Like, what if, like, their religion and, like, Fairhold's religion is essentially the same? Like, there's a lot of similarities. Yeah. So then they're going through all the colors.
It's giving Handmaid's Tale. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my god, yeah. So, the bishops wear white and gold. They are genuinely the readers and those who would hold church services across Soulgrave. When we gather, a bishop will address a congregation of those of us in gray, red, green, black, as well as the faithful across all territories who gather in their typical attire. The greens are the monetary arm of the church. They handle taxation, tithing. Wait, hold on. Is it tithing or tithing?
Tithing.
I think. Here's the thing that my brain doesn't do well. I know it could be pronounced 2 different ways. and the way that is actually pronounced sounds wrong. So then I do it that way, and then I get corrected, and then it's like a never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
I like will sit there and be like, no, Tithine sounds better, but then like that's the correct way of saying it. I don't know. It's annoying. So that wonderful thing, donations and charities. There was a bit of trouble when non-believers learned they could wear green to rob the believers, but that's where those of us in red intervene. So red is like the arms of the church. They're like the authority.
Yep.
Black, and the priestesses wear black. They are the closest to the All-Mother and serve her most intimately. They do not live or reside in the church, meant for public ceremonies. They live in the sacred temples, and then the highest in their organization is the speaker. Now, we didn't get a lot of information on the speaker, but it's basically somebody who appears during great strife or great change, and it's mostly somebody made flesh from the All-Mother. And so then they made like a oh, so Amaris would be considered the speaker, correct? And then Tanith's like, no, Amaris is an acorn from the tree. The speaker is the tree itself walking among us. It's like, what if that is the tree walking among us?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're not chosen, they just show up, and that's how they're whatever. So I honestly wonder if it's like one of those crazy lunatics that wants I don't know, some bunch of bullshit. What if the speaker is fucking Moroi?
Oh God. Yikes.
Like, what if she's here but not here, kind of thing, you know? And what if she is the speaker and she's the one who's like doing this thing because of what happened long ago with her daughter? But
maybe.
But yeah, so we learn a little bit more about her church and all of that wonderful stuff.
Yeah, and then
Ash goes out too after the two go to downtown, or goes to the town.
Yeah, and so Nox and Tanith go to the library by themselves, and she's like, "Let's just the two of us go." And I was kind of like, "Is that a good idea? Like, I don't know if I like that." But nothing crazy happens.
It'll be what'd she say? If Tanith would survive one pleasant outing with a half-baked queen, it would be the closest they'd come to a breakthrough.
Yeah.
And it's funny too because Ash was kind of left to himself, and he just like went down and he like went to all these different shops, and then he goes to a trinket shop and he spots something in the window, and he felt quite pleased with his find. But then he says, yet as he wandered back to the castle, it occurred to him how lost he felt. And I'm like, lost?
Yeah, what is happening?
Lost in like the city or just generally in life?
Yeah.
Because of like what, like maybe everything you thought about or knew about the Reavers changed because of the way your father was.
Well, and also I feel like you have to be conflicted because you were a part of a battle where this woman murdered tons of people, and now you're falling for her. But
yeah, that's true. Because I mean, he did go into the trinket shop, and then like right after he left on his way back to the castle, he thought that. So maybe that's it.
Yeah, but also, while they're at the library, Nox is talking to one of the librarians, and I was cracking up because she asks the librarian, "Are you a man of faith?" And he was like, "My parents are devout, but I lost my faith when I attended a university." And I was like, "Same." And then
Sir,
they're talking, and she's like, "I'm not really interested in studying the old gods yet." And he's like, "Some scholars believe the old gods and All-Mother are the same thing, and there's a case to be made for the power of simplifying and centralizing belief. It facilitates control." And then he's like, "I almost forgot. We have a handwritten collection of letters between theologians that you might find interesting. It's something of an antiquity and a pretty niche interest, but you're the queen. You could order the library burned if you wished." And the next sentence is, "She was repulsed at the very thought of anyone having the power to erase knowledge from the face of the earth." And I was like, Same again.
Glad we're on the same side.
Yeah. So then we're back at the castle. Everyone's back at the castle. And Ash brought presents. He brought almond pastries for everyone as a dessert. And then he gives Tanith a little box. And she's like, what is it? And he just kind of shrugs and is like, everyone else has a ring, so I thought it might make you feel more like an included part of our circle if you got one too. And she opens it, and she is like, it's beautiful because it is a little aquamarine.
It's blue-green for her favorite color.
Yeah, he says it's aquamarine. The way I see it, if you must wear red, you should at least own something in your favorite color. Fucking swoon! What?
What a peach. I love him so much. And I'm so glad my ship is setting sail.
Yes. Yes.
Now, something I would like to discuss, not in too great detail, but when she was at the library and she was looking through all these books, she found one where a theologist and a historian were writing to each other. And they say the mythos of the All-Mother was disseminated differently throughout time, culture, and kingdom, but I've come to find a common thread running through the text, much like a connective tissue or undercurrent. My dear friend, they'll call me a bad man, but I don't believe the goddess to be more than a woman, maybe a collection of women with greater power or abilities for creation than the others understand. Perhaps that's all it is to achieve godhood, to transcend comprehension. My friend, I do not believe her or them to be good, nor do I believe the goddess to be evil. She seems to want for nothing and care for nothing. Please do not tell the others I have said this, but I have suspicions that the peace she desires is her own, to be unbothered, unencumbered. Her desire for balance might not be one of the altruism. These suspicions may need to die with us, my friend, for they are blasphemy. And then the theologian responded, tell no one. And my thing is like, what if we've already met the All-Mother?
Off. Right?
What if the All-Mother is a character that we've already met? Like, what if it's Millicent? What if it's Moroi? Moray, I mean.
Off.
What if it's Nox? Like, it could literally be Amaris.
It could be.
It could be all these things, and it's like, my religious upbringing or studies, I guess, is clicking through all the things, and I just and it's really sad too, because like these books aren't as big as like other books. So like not Pepper CJ, like SJM, Rebecca Yarros, like those two, their books skyrocketed. And these books haven't taken off as much. Yeah. So like there's no lore, there's no true like wiki page basically for it. So it's like,
yeah,
all these questions I haven't been answered, and it's driving me fucking nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see what happens next.
I'm excited for you to see what happens next.
Yeah, since you've already seen it all. But yeah, until next time.
Bye.